Hi, everybody. Welcome into Morning in the Valley. Jeff Bidwell with you tonight, as just making sure we've got sound and we've got audio here. A little Morning in the Valley overtime tonight. As let's see here. Belmont just wrapping up an 87-79 win tonight over Tennessee State. Game that maybe was a little bit more hairy than the folks in Nashville would have hoped for, at least the Belmont side of things. And then Bradley, 85-54. They blow out Central Michigan. So we will get all of that coming up here in just a little bit. Paul Oren from the victorybell.com will be joining us in just a few moments. He is otherwise occupied right now, but he was in Lexington, Kentucky last night as Valparaiso ended up getting blown out, unfortunately, by number 9 Kentucky. So we will talk with Paul coming up here in just a little bit, and just want to make sure. Going to try to get Casey Alexander on here in about 40 to 35 minutes, which will be great. Talk to the Belmont head coach again after a victory tonight for Belmont in a game that, and we can start with that one right off the jump here, as the Bruins get the win, 87-79, and I hope I have my appropriate notes. I got 87 legal pads around this house, and I feel like I have misplaced notes all over the place. Probably didn't bring that pad in here. This may be the pad. Yeah, that's not the pad. That's a pad. That's a pad from another time. All right, we're just gonna wing it. Let's just wing it. Look, a win is a win is a win. Rule number 1 on Morning in the Valley at all times. We never apologize for a win. But I think ultimately this was a game that took a little while. I think really it was one of those deals where Belmont early started okay. And you thought it was going to be a game they were going to be able to kind of run away and hide a little bit from Tennessee State. But unfortunately, that did not happen. And the Tigers kept hanging around, shot the ball very well tonight. At least from 3. Belmont did not, as I would be helpful if I had my notebook. But since I do not have my notebook, we have Tennessee State shoots 35%, but they hit 8 threes and 17 of 20 from the free throw line. That was able to keep them hanging around in this game. Belmont, on the other hand, shot from the field. They were at 52%, but an uncharacteristic 5 for 20 from beyond the arc. So Drew Sharnowski had a huge night. And there's a reason Drew Sharnowski, and I think tonight we saw a little bit of what he is going to, sort of his ceiling and where he can get to. 17.7 rebounds for Belmont. And when we back in the summer, we did sort of the exercise of your all-conference team with returning guys. And I think he was my late round flyer of, I think this guy can be an all-league guy. And when I did that exercise with Paul Oren, he was like, I don't even know who Drew Sharnowski is. And I was like, you just wait. And I said, I understand that this is probably a biased pick just from a standpoint of I was watching him in person destroy Murray State last year as a freshman in Murray when he had 20 points and 8 rebounds and a career high. And you're like, he is just at 6'8", 6'9". He has these swimmer shoulders. I mean, he is just a literal triangle of a human being from the waist up. And he is something else. And he's just part of that 3-headed monster down low for Belmont with Sam Orm, along with Brigham Rogers as well. And you look at it and you're like, oh, Orm got 14, Sharnowski got 17, Rogers got 12. So between, your 4 or your 3 bigs there, you get 43 points. You get 19 rebounds. That's going to do. That's going to do, especially on a night where Tyler Lumblade was very quiet, goes 4 for 10, didn't make a shot in the first half. There was a point with about 2 minutes left in the first half. 9 Bruins had scored, and Tyler Lumblade was not one of them, and they were still ahead, which I thought was a good sign. But ultimately, he hits 4 threes down the stretch, and there was one especially big. It was about a 4-point game, about 2 minutes left, and look, that's winning time. And he was able to come in and knock down a shot that ultimately gave them enough cushion to get to the finish line and beat Tennessee State. We'll talk about that one coming up a little bit later on with Casey Alexander. One thing, and we're going to take the moment here to show this, and this was a frightening moment. This was a frightening moment. This was in the second half, and this is Drew Charnowski. I mean, the game where we got a 40-40 tie, and out on the break, Charnowski is going to go up for the dunk, gets undercut a little bit, and he hits like a ton of bricks. And you could tell he laid there like, oh my gosh. And there was just a so quiet in the building for the moment. And then to be 20 years old again, or 21, where you could just fall from 6 feet flat on your back, and then you take 5 seconds to gather yourself, and then you get up and you're like, hey, let's go and pump up the crowd and be all excited. That was it was just like but then that moment, it was like that kind of jump started the Bruins. They went on 7-0, 8-0 run type of thing, stretched that lead back out. It was kind of that just accordion game for Belmont. They get it to 11 and get back down to 2. They get it to 9 and get back down to 4. Just they could not shake Tennessee State, and ultimately they did enough. 87-79 was the final there. Up in Peoria, Bradley released the Hounds late, 85-54. They hammer Central Michigan. And again, this is the problem you can have with overreaction Monday or Tuesday or whatever day you want to have it in that first week of the season. Because my concern coming out of Monday and the Field of 68 opening day marathon, where Bradley, they lost to St. Bonaventure. And the problem for me in watching it was just a question of, look, this is a new team. This is now a situation where you have, Duke Dean is gone, and Darius Hannah is gone, and Zeke Montgomery's gone. And all these guys that have scored for you for years and years and years, they're gone. And now it's Jaquan Johnson and, Ahmet Jonovich and Alex Ubricks and Demarion Birch. And you're like, okay, these guys have high ceilings. We expect a lot of them, but they haven't done it necessarily when the lights have been brightest. And in that moment, Bradley gets down by double digits early. They come back. They got a 5-6 point lead in the second half. And then they scored 8 points in the last 9 minutes of the game. And my question was, where are they going to find points? And that was answered tonight. And it is the problem with overreaction Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever it may be in the first week, because they just proved, for the 947th time that I'm a giant dope. Jaquan Johnson tonight, a career high 33, 11 of 16 from the floor. And he pretty much got whatever he wanted as he goes and just goes off. And it was like, okay, that's where you're going to score. Now look, it's one night. Central Michigan, certainly, they're like 270 or so in the Ken Palm. There will be better teams that Bradley will face, but at least for one night. And that's kind of the deal. Whether it's one night on the good side, one night on the bad side, the pendulum can swing back and forth. You try not to overreact too much early, but that is what we do. But Jaquan Johnson, awesome tonight as they got the win 85-54. They took down Central Michigan at Carver Arena. All right, let's go to the phone lines, if you will, as we will bring in our guest, as I'm having audio problems, so I hope we're going to be able to hear him. Let's welcome in our man, Paul Oren, from his evil lair somewhere in middle America. Paul, I'm afraid I have this weird feeling I'm not going to be able to hear you. Can I hear you?
You got me?
What is happening? No. What is happening? Oh, maybe that, Paul?
Yeah.
Hey, there you are. There you are. Okay,
I actually thought it would be fun if you, because I could hear you.
Yep.
I thought it would be amazing if, like, we attempted to have a conversation where you couldn't hear me at all, and I played off you a little bit. I thought we were wearing suits. I got dressed up for opening night here. You know, I'm wearing. Look at
I
this.
appreciate
Look at this look at this outfit right here. We I thought we were wearing suits.
No, it's hoodie season down here in West
It
Kentucky.
is hoodie season. Yeah, man.
Very much so. Well, you have been reconnecting with your betrothed this evening, so I don't know how much
it was
basketball you're able to absorb after a busy afternoon of Valpo football.
Oh, well, I mean, let me tell you, right? So it's 9:15 Central right now, Saturday night. At 9:15 a.m. Friday morning, I hopped in a rental, and I drove 5.5 hours to Lexington, Kentucky, covered Valparaiso's worst Division I loss in program history.
Oh,
drove 5.5 hours back with Bivik, the sports information guru for Valpo, and the voice, Todd Eichow, 5.5 hours back because we had to get back for Valpo football. And then as soon as the Valpo football game ended and I did the presser, I drove over to swimming because I needed to see a win somewhere and give it up for the Valpo men's swim program beating Green Bay in a dual meet. First time in forever that they beat Green Bay. And so then they went to the victory bell. They rang the victory bell. And so that's exciting. So
it is it's Morning in the Valley Overtime, the swimming edition. Brought to you.
I mean, look, hey, no one drowned. It was good. I felt like I was drowned. 5.5 hours back after a 48-point defeat last night. Man, that was tough. But I'm here. I'm soldiering on. And yes, my wonderful girlfriend looked at me this morning and said, we're going to have steak tonight. So some bacon wrapped scallops, some cheddar and bacon mashed potatoes. Like, I think she took one look at the box score from last night's game and said, yeah, we're going to have a good meal.
Hey, man, if I was getting steaks and scallops tonight, I'd be throwing on a sports coat as well. So,
well, I mean, it's excellent.
You're living the dream. All right, let's get into this one. Let's
talk about it.
Let's get into it. 107-59 last night at Rupp Arena.
And it wasn't that close.
It wasn't that close. And you didn't get ice cream. I mean, it was just insult to injury there. Look, earlier in the week, the days all run together at this point to get you got to win at home. You beat Eastern Illinois, did the Beacons, and saw some potential freshman of the year candidates rolling out there at the Arc for Roger Powell. And I thought, okay, you see some bright spots, but 100% there is a different. It is a different swimming pool going from Eastern Illinois to the number 9 University of Kentucky.
They're not going to be number 9 for long. I mean, I've been around this for a long time, and yes, obviously we cover by and large mid-major basketball, right? But I will tell you that for a long time, I covered the Champions Classic every year. It was in Chicago for the local paper that I worked for. Duke, Kentucky, Kansas, Michigan State. So I've seen a lot of high-level basketball up close against each other, not just mid-majors, kind of like that's my specialty, obviously, with Valpo. Yeah. This Kentucky team is not going to be number 9 for long. They are going to, I mean, they're loaded. They are loaded. And I'm not making any excuses for Valpo's performance. I'm telling you that Kentucky was unbelievable last night, and maybe their best depth all-around team since the team that started 38-0 before Wisconsin so rudely bounced them from the. I mean, obviously a lot of ball game left, and who have they played? They played Nichols and they played Valpo, and they weren't particularly dominant against Nichols, but they had some injuries, and they got one of those guys back. That team is something else. It's, I mean, and now we can joke about this. It's every bit of a $22 million roster. And I say that tongue in cheek, but I also say that if that's what $22 million can buy you, it looked like it was money well spent because that team's going to go far.
Was this just a avalanche of, look, this is this is on the short list of best teams in the country, or is there, as I guess I called it the other night, is this a oh gosh, it's been 2 days already, and I've already forgotten what I said. Is there a concern alert right now? Maybe
Oh, sure. I mean, yeah. How can it not be? It's a 48-point loss, right?
Yeah.
I'll tell you this: Kentucky scored, I think, on their first 6 possessions, and Roger Powell really wants Valpo to play fast, fun, and free, and with a whole lot of faith. And he has a whole lot of faith that this is the way that it's going to work for these guys. If you're trying to beat Kentucky, you probably need to play slow, plodding, and with probably a lot of faith. And they tried to speed it up. And so Kentucky came out defensively, really locked in, and Valpo did not get good looks on their first 5 possessions. The 5 after that, they jacked up the quickest shot they could come up with. And then they're skittish. Now they're tossing in 30-footers 6 seconds into the shot clock because they're like, well, it didn't look this good the last time we tried to run something. We might as well get, and it's probably boiling it down to a nuanced thing. But I mean, the game was over 5 possessions into the game. I mean, it was just Kentucky hit everything. They got open threes. They hit them. They got contested floaters. They hit them. So they had as good of an offensive start to the game as you can have. Valpo had as bad of an offensive start as you can have. And very soon it was already over. And then at that point, it's just, in the second half, Valpo played better. And Kentucky had their starters in there. I mean, they're feeling things out. They got a huge game coming up against Louisville. I mean, those two teams battling each other for the right to be second best in the state of Kentucky to Murray State. And so it is what it is. Look, Kentucky was fantastic. And Valpo, is a concern alert? Yes, I mean, Raheem Chaney, you see his name up on the board here. Like, the guy's been outstanding through the first 2 games. He was not one of the guys that you thought was going to be one of the studs of this team. There were some other guys that have not yet been studs on this team that you expected would be. And I think it's 2 games, so you can't overreact. But Valpo's they got to win on Wednesday against Nicholls State. You got to win that game, and then you got Bryant coming in. You got to win that game too. It's never, other than Marquette and Northwestern later on down the road in non-conference, it's never going to be that hard again. They're never going to be that good again. So take what you've learned and roll with it. Now you got to show you can learn something.
The other game last night, and for our Belmont friends, Casey Alexander will be joining us here in the next 15 minutes or so after the Bruins beat Tennessee State 87-79. Bradley over Central Michigan tonight 85-54. The game I got the privilege to sit and watch last night, Murray State 108-60 over Mississippi Valley State. It was a I don't know, Paul, from afar. What did you think when you saw that number pop up? And then I'll get my thoughts.
What did I think? That 6 guys in double figures?
Yes, 6 guys, nobody more than 15 points. 6 guys in double figures, all 11 guys.
No one more than 23 minutes.
Right.
And the only reason Javon Jackson played 23 minutes is because they were trying to get a 7th guy in double figures. Look, that game, granted, what do we know about Mississippi Valley State Delta Devils?
365 out of 365. That's what you need to know about them. So that's where all
whatever. I mean,
Final Four ticket purchasing from the Racer Nation needs to break pump just a little bit because this is metrically.
But this is what we thought about Murray State when they went on that 46-day run of signing a new player every single day.
I love how every time we talk, that number gets a little bit bigger. So it
is. Yeah. I mean, look, you've got these guys that I mean, I'm just looking at the numbers right now, and every metric has got, like they didn't block enough shots. If we're going to nitpick, they didn't
Sure,
block enough shots.
sure.
Everything else they did fantastic, right? I mean, yeah, you jacked up 43 3-pointers in the game. Braden Shorter trying to say, hey, Lundblade, I might be the guy who jacks up the most threes in the Valley. Look, I mean, from a quick glance, they jumped out to a big lead, and then they scored 61 in the second half. This is a team. This is exactly what we thought we were going to see. Now, they're supposed to destroy Mississippi Valley State Delta Devils. Yeah. We'll see what they do, going forward. But this is Fred King made his debut, so that's good. Obviously, got a big one coming up with SMU. I mean, that's going to be a fun game. And then you get Nichols after that, right?
Correct. They're doing the Valley two-step there from Valpo down to Murray.
This is what I always enjoy, by the way, of the non-conference, is when then you can you can see what people are doing and how they're kind of moving back and forth from, and that's fun to see. Okay, Valpo is going to play them now. What does Murray look like playing against them? And a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, Valpo played St. Mary of the Woods as an exhibition and barely beat them. And then Indiana State played St. Mary of the Woods and beat them by like 60. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe Indiana State's going to be a little bit better than Valpo. And that was the year I think Indiana State beat Valpo by 40. And so it's like, okay, that makes sense. So you can extrapolate that a little bit. So there we go.
Yeah, the part that Mississippi Valley State, to their credit, they came in, they threw out some zone, and look, it's November 8th. Nobody's really worked on a lot of zone offense at this point, and with 5 minutes to go in the first half, it was 26 to 19. I mean, the Racers were up 7, and they had 26 points 15 minutes in, and they then scored 82 points in the next 25 minutes. They started making some shots, they solved the zone. Obviously, and then they go on to win by 48. The part that I think, and Racer fans, they got their first taste of it yesterday, and I think Valley fans certainly are going to root like hell for this in November and December. We'll see how it works, when we get into conference play and things slow down a little bit. Head coach Ryan Miller is wildly aware of metrics. He is wildly aware of the value of margin of victory. And as we talked in the pregame yesterday, he said, he goes, we are trying to build a resume, and this is not game by game resume. He's like, for me, this is possession by possession, and we cannot give possessions away. If we are up, and to paraphrase, but if we're up 30 with a minute to go, and hey, we win by 23, we have given away equity with the metrics that we need to have. Murray State was up 52, something like that, with 90 seconds left, and Ryan Miller, God bless him, at 50 years old, is down at a defensive stance looking like it is the final possession of the tie game in the national championship game on Monday night. I mean, he is fighting for every single pass, and that is the mentality that has already seeped into this team, that they are not going to let you off the hook. If they're up 40, they're going for 50. And then when they're 50, they're going for 60. And it is wild to watch. It is wild.
Yeah, it's funny. Courtney Boyd, Valpo women's basketball coach, has echoed similar thoughts. I don't know that they've got the horses right now to see what Murray State men are doing, but I mean, she has basically said, if we're up 20 or down 20, I don't want you to know that from the way that we operate the final 5 minutes of a game. And
exactly. Yep.
And I think we can bake that into what the metrics are all about here. And what's interesting here, just doing a quick look at the Delta Devils, metrically, they're going to help Murray a little bit because, I mean, they've got Hawaii coming up. They got Texas A&M. They've got Kansas State, Florida State, West Virginia, Oklahoma. They got all these. I mean,
their entire non-conference is just bye games. I mean, that basically all
games on the. Yeah. And they're not, I mean, they had some of their guys doing betting last year, so that's not a money source anymore. So they've got to figure out some other buy game stuff here. But that to me is they're gonna metrically. I mean, again, if we were in the RPI days, we could point to this and say, well, that's going to help. I mean, this obviously a 38-point win. No, 48-point win. I can't even do math. 48-point win.
48.
That was Kentucky beat Valpo by 48. Murray State beat Mississippi. Which team would you rather be, Kentucky or Murray State? I think we know the answer. We'd rather be Murray State right now.
I think I'll be a racer. It was just look, most points in a regular season game against most points against a D1 team in regulation in 25 years. I mean, it was just like it was a track meet, and the part that yesterday was kind of the official day. Ryan Miller announcing that, hey, we're redshirting 4 guys, so now they have an 11-man roster. This is as deep as a team as I have ever seen at Murray State in the 20 plus years I've covered them. There is nobody that they roll out there. Even if, hey, we're up 50, let's empty the bench. You're putting out there 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and these dudes can all play. And that's where it's like
they're redshirting 4 guys. Wow. Okay.
I mean, that's the plan today. That's the plan today.
You knew, Jeff, that was going to have to happen when, again, they signed all those guys. Like, how are you going to make this work? And I'm intrigued because I think Murray's going to play 11, right? Like, I mean, at times Valpo is trying to play that many too. This is a different world than what we're used to. And again, I'm curious to see once we get into January and February, like what do those rotations look like? But 11-man roster, that's
sure. I mean, it'll tighten up. I mean, I think the part about the redshirting that's interesting is that this is just a working theory that I have absolutely no facts to back this up with. But I just have to believe now in this revenue share era that 2 years ago, if you told a kid like, hey, man, we want to redshirt you and we want to sit you for a year, and they're like, I want to play. But now if you're able to fund them and I can just sit down here and I'm not going to play, but I get to save a year. You're still going to resource me and I get to, I love all the euphemisms I come up with it. You're still going to pay me and I can still work and develop myself. And they're going to stick around then for another year, that it's not just, hey, I'm rotting on the end of the bench. I think that changes the dynamic a little bit. So I'm very interested to see how this all,
I mean, you want
down the transfer volume, I think, at the end of this year.
Yeah. Do you want 5 paydays or do you want 4 paydays?
Right.
I mean, it's like,
and that's why guys are trying to stay eligible for their 10th year, because they're just like, oh, I can get paid for till I'm 28 in college.
Yeah,
yes, please.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's like you can go to the G League and not get drafted and then come back to college.
All right. Let's see. So tonight, again, Bradley, looks like 9:45. We're hoping to have our friend Casey Alexander, head coach at Belmont, after too many B leagues teams in this league. Just 2 of them, but that's apparently too many tonight. After they beat Tennessee State, and
we're
Bradley
unhinged on Morning in the Valley after dark. You call it overtime. I like Morning in the Valley after dark.
Well, we try not to just completely rip off everyone's IP. We just try to, work in the shadows in the corners if we can. All right, we're a weekend. We're 6 days in to the week. We've got tomorrow a few games on the docket, which I guess would technically maybe change some minds potentially in terms of a ranking system through 1 week. But if we look at if you're able to look through a prism that has no preconceived notions, no preseason bias, you have nothing about these teams until you saw them roll out on Monday. And we have 6 days now in the rear view for your pop quiz, because I gave you no forewarning on this. Who would be your top 5? You can go 5-1, you can go 1-5. Who do you like right now at the top of the league?
Man, I mean, great question. I really liked the trio of Murray, Drake, and Belmont's wins on opening day. That win against Omaha has got legs. I thought that was, again, not playing with Fred King for Murray. And this is now 2 games in a row where Murray has dropped 50 or more in the second half. So and what that's a product of right now, and I'm putting Murray number 1 because not just because I'm on your show, but what that's a product of is the depth they have, other teams getting worn down. Now, granted, Omaha scored 46 in the second half as well, but that is the depth of Murray showing you that they're still going to be able to score later on. Now, again, I also really liked UIC opening night. Dropping Detroit Mercy by 20. I mean that's solid. I like Ahmad Henderson a lot. And so that's good. Some of these teams, like Indiana State playing a non D1, whatever. Thursday, excuse me, we had kind of tough results. Illinois State losing to Ohio, and Robert Morris taking down Drake in overtime in a tough situation. Northern Iowa, being who Northern Iowa is, beating a team by 29 points. I mean, I put them number 2 because they're just a team that they are who they are, and they're gonna outscore you in the first half, and they're gonna shut you down in the second half. They're going to go blow for blow for you for the first 20 minutes, and then they're going to suffocate you for the second 20 minutes. That's what I saw against Cal State Northridge. So I'm going to put them number 2. It's Southern Illinois dropping 100 on Kansas City.
I thought that was something.
Yeah, if we're saying sight unseen,
yeah,
House looks like a good player. Guy goes 7 of 9 from the floor.
That's the guy that our friend Luke Martin, radio voice for the Salukis. When I was kind of like, hey man, Isaiah Stafford. He's like, yep, he's gonna help. Kelron House. He was saying that from July. Kelron House is the guy you need to pay attention to, and he has very much delivered as advertised here in the early going.
So Kansas City is a D1 team. Last I checked, right? Yep. Starting center for them, by the way, Jerome Palm, a former Valpo player. Didn't even know he was still playing college basketball, as a matter of fact. He was at Hawaii. He went from Valpo to Hawaii to Kansas City. That transfer movement goes to the bottom of whatever ranking list we're talking about. How do you go from Valpo to Hawaii and not stay there? And so anyway, I just Kansas City, their Division I basketball team, and Southern Illinois shot 65% against them. So that right there turns some heads. And so I'm going to put them at number 3. I'm going to put Belmont at number 4 for the simple fact that, they got Tyler Lundblade and he's really, really good. And then at number 5, I'm going to put a tie of Drake, Illinois State, and Bradley. Teams that you want to love, but they've all had early hiccups, and now I want to see how they're all going to respond from these early hiccups, right? Because now you face a little bit of adversity. It's not like they faced Valpo adversity where they just got destroyed. These were competitive games that they all dropped. How do they take that lesson and learn from it? And so those 3 could easily move into the top 5. But right now, Murray, Northern Iowa, Southern Illinois, and Belmont are the 4 impressive teams to me. But these next 3, and that's really the list there. And in UIC, you got to, going into Oregon State and only dropping that by 3, that's not nothing either.
No, they had a shot, and just couldn't get the right stops down the stretch there. To be able to come out with a win. I think for me, I guess the real discussion ultimately becomes to your point of who's 5 right now, and the point about the warts early on. I think that we when we talked with John Baker the other night from March to the Arch, talking about Illinois State, and they just, it was 10 minutes after they had gotten beat by Ohio, and I know he was a little bit of an emotional wreck after that, but it was, look, that's the concern alert flashing a little bit that, for them to go to, their 2 exhibition games at Illinois, they weren't whole. They had a bunch of guys hurt. Fine. I completely throw that out, and that's fine. But everybody was pretty much back when they went up to Northwestern and got absolutely blasted. And it was like, because you just want exhibition games to not feel it's almost like obviously it doesn't matter if you win or lose. You just don't want to feel badly when you walk out of there. And I was like, to go to Evanston and lose by 35, I was like, I don't know that anybody's feeling even remotely good on Illinois State side. And then for them to go to Athens, and I am an alumni of Ohio University, and I am as big a homer for that program as there is, and yet they're fine. They're fine. And I just was really surprised, especially when, I think Illinois State got up again, got down early, but got up 7-8 in the second half, and then just frittered it away. And Chase Walker was pretty much non-existent most of the night. Johnny Kinzinger had some flashes where you're like, I think he's the best guy in the team. Bowden Skunberg kind of jumped in. We finally got to see him play, but it was a non-plus performance in the end for them. And again, they're 0-1, but with everything we talked about for 7 months, and maybe unnecessarily so, but all the talking we've done for 7 months, it just felt like more than just one loss.
Yeah, I mean, look, the thing that was alarming was obviously Chase Walker. He's got in early foul trouble, and he never got on track, right? He got 2 quick fouls. He was out of the game. We all think he's going to be pretty good. The guy that I also think is going to be pretty good is Jack Doherty.
Yeah, and he was over.
And he goes 16 minutes.
Yep.
And when I was watching the live stats on ESPN, they weren't updating minutes, and he just had zeros across the board. And I'm like, this has got to be a typo. Like, there's not, what, did he not start? Did he not play? But yeah, he didn't get a 16 trillion because he did, in fact, he took shots. He took 4 threes. He took 5 overall shots, but no rebounds, no assists, no steals, no blocks, no turnovers. And normally, Jeff, like, I wouldn't go in on a guy for having a performance like that. And I'm not trying to criticize him. What I'm telling you is that he's not going to have too many performances like that. And so that was an anomaly right there. And I think for Illinois State to be what I think many of us think they might be, like, they need a third guy, and it's probably Skunberg. But if it is Skunberg and they can get a 4th guy like Doherty, that's the roster that I think people voted first in the league. And if he goes 0-4 and Chase Walker doesn't have the night, and Tyreek Coleman off the bench is not doing a lot, then what do you need? Brandon Lieb, you need Landon Wolf, you need the older guys to, right. So I like Ty Pence, 14-7, 6 of 8 from the floor. I mean, that's encouraging, and so they're going to be fine. I know it feels like more than one loss, and especially given the temperament of the Illinois State fan base for the high hopes they've gotten over the last several years, and then like the world is crashing. I'm sure they're treating it as more than, they're going to be fine.
Look, to your point, Jack's not going to play that bad, and Chase isn't going to play that bad, and all those on the same night, they're not going to play that bad again. And so, but it was just like, okay, this is a game. You feel like you're going to bounce back, but it was just now the series of things, kind of once is an accident, twice is a trend, 3 times a situation. I'm like, are we starting to knock on the door? And we got a situation right now with them. And that
they got Cornell tomorrow. Valpo legend Kaspar Sepp plays for Cornell.
Nice.
Now, I feel like every team, by the way, in the country, there are 365 teams in the country. I feel like there's a former Valpo player on every single one of them. That's what happens when you have 4 years in a row of your entire roster transferring out after each year. But yeah, so they've got Cornell, and then they've got a big game against USC, and that's obviously going to be one that, if that's a great litmus test for them. But obviously this Cornell game, and you take care of business against them, and you get back on track.
Drake, the Drake, like this, they played 2 games. They are 1-1. They played in South Dakota in front of us. They beat Northern Arizona, but it's 2 games in a row. They've trailed by double digits in each game. They were able to come back and beat Northern Arizona. They are, look, after last year, Drake fans and all of us Valley fans that are pulling for the league as a whole, you get spoiled because you're like, what in the world is happening with this brand new team, brand new coach, brand new everything, and they win every single game they play. And then this year it's like, hey, brand new team, brand new coach. Oh, we're going to lose a game. What's happening? And it's like, no, this was the absolute blueprint of, they're playing a Robert Morris team that went to the NCAA tournament last year too. They've got guys back with the championship pedigree, a coach been there for 2 decades, and it just, guys that haven't been together all that long. And when it got down to crunch time, they just couldn't figure out a way to solve the puzzle. But I think the early ups and downs here this week with them, that is college basketball in 2025. And Drake is just now the poster child as opposed to last year's complete anomaly.
Yeah. I mean, and look, again, they shot 37% from the floor against Robert Morris. They shot 26% from the 3-point line. I actually was encouraged, Federico, the big 18 and 15 and 3 blocks. I mean, that'll play in the Valley. That'll play in the Valley. they're not the product that they were last year when they brought in a fully intact team. They're going to be growing pains, but and I think we're gonna. I mean, everything gets expedited in this world now of having to gel these guys together and figure out who's playing, who's not, and all that. Not worried about, now. Look, here's what I'll say about this. What does Drake have now? Drake has experience playing a tight game.
Yep.
And actually, they've got 2 experiences playing a tight game because that Northern Arizona game, like you win some, you lose some. And Valpo, as far as much as you don't want to struggle at home against Eastern Illinois, and Valpo should have beat them by double digits easy. You miss 14 free throws, that's going to be a problem. Now, all of a sudden, Valpo doesn't have to replicate in practice what is it like for end of game scenario where we have to get a score. They got it. You have to get a stop. They got it. Now they got film and Drake as well. And so I would take a loss in this in November over a 50-point blowout win. And I'm now not criticizing Murray State because they blew that team out because they're that good, but playing a non-D1 like what Indiana State did the other day against Indiana Tech, what do you learn from that? You get your guys comfortable on the court together and all that, but like test your guys. And kudos to Drake and Eric Henderson for testing his guys, and and kudos to Illinois State too. So you can't get too worked up about these early season losses. Very few of these teams are going to be in any kind of position for an at-large. So you take the hits on the chin and you roll forward.
Yeah, I think that's just, from my seat and the prism we look through, it's just all about we're trying to get the at-large. And so you just anytime you have a chance where you're like, you lose an overtime at home. You lose at Ohio by whatever it was, 3 or 4, and it's like just these missed opportunities where you're like, if we get 3 months down the road and you're like, boy, would have liked to have that one back. And maybe it makes a difference just on the margins of maybe getting you up the line a little bit. I was super impressed with Northern Iowa the other night. I think they are, they have been walking in Illinois State's shadow all summer while we're talking about guys, teams with everybody coming back. And yeah, they lost Titan Anderson and Jacob Hudson, but everybody else is coming back. And for them to just go play Northridge and, like a 22-0 run in the first half and blew that. The doors were off of that thing in a hurry. And, they allowed, I think there was a little foot off the gas, a couple minutes at the end of the first half to get it back to 14, I think, at the break. And then it was like, okay, we're done screwing around. We're going to go win this thing by 30. So,
we forget how good Leon Bond III is, right? Wasn't he hurt? He was hurt a lot last year.
Yeah, and missed a chunk in crunch time.
And I think the
reason why they got beat by a certain team in brown and gold.
Yeah. And I think they put him on the court in the I think they put him on the court in that final game in Arch Madness, and it was just clear he couldn't go. He was 5 of 8 from 3. He can go. He's good. 23 points, 5 assists, 3 steals, 5 of 8 from 3. That guy, I know we're talking about Trey Campbell this, Trey Campbell that, and everything, but Leon Bond III just said, hey, I've been overlooked. He's got a chip on his shoulder. He should. And that's a team right there that's really impressive.
The Racers, they go to SMU. You mentioned that. They go to SMU coming up on Tuesday. So that's, hey, beat the worst team in America by 48. That'll be, we talk about litmus test. That's the big litmus test for Murray State down there in Dallas against a top 50 team. And in a year where, our schools, it's so hard for the most part to go get quad 1 games. Valpo, obviously, getting the NTE there with Kentucky, but, the top teams in the league can't get them. And so to be able to get that quad 1 opportunity down in Dallas will be.
Can we touch on this for a second before? Yes. I know Casey's coming in a little bit, I think.
Yep.
Valpo fans been asking about this a little bit, and I'm just going to use this. Maybe they're watching, maybe they're not, and maybe mid-major fans are paying attention to this as well. So Valpo that was not a bye game against Kentucky, and that's not a bad thing. I know they got their heads beat in, but what they got out of it is 2 home games. And now Nichols in Eastern Illinois, they don't get 2 home games out of it. Nichols is traveling to everybody in that thing, and Eastern gets 1 home game. But here's what Valpo gets out of getting their heads beat in by Kentucky. 2 home games that you do not have to return. So you don't have to go to Eastern. You don't have to go to Nichols. You don't have to pay to get these schools to come in. you're probably, if you're a mid-major like Valpo paying a one-off like that, you're probably paying 50 to Eastern Illinois, 50 to Nichols. So you're out 100 right there. If you go to Kentucky, you're probably making 100. So it's a wash. You get 2 home games and you get to keep the gate and all of that stuff. So I actually think these MTEs, if you are the second best team in the MTE, obviously if you're the best team, that's great. But if you're the second best team in an MTE, you get to play a Q1 like Kentucky, and then you get to host 2 games that you don't have to return. It really makes a lot of sense. Valpo did it last year against DePaul, hosted 2 games. They did it the year before against Illinois, hosted 2 games. It gets you a game against the Power 5, and it gets you 2 home games. I think it's a brilliant way to go about it. Yes, you'd love to get a payday every single time you get your heads beat in, but this was an indirect payday, and not a bad way to go about it.
No, for sure. Get 2 games on there. That was awesome. All right, our guest has arrived. He is the head coach of the Belmont Bruins as Belmont takes care of Tennessee State at home, 87-79. Let's welcome in the head coach, Casey Alexander. Coach, I appreciate you stealing a couple minutes on a Saturday night. I know you have about 800 other things you would rather be doing right now, but thanks for the time. What's the quick assessment of how your guys did tonight?
Yeah, the first assessment is you guys have got to find something better to do with yourselves. My gosh.
Coach, we're in suits tonight. This is exciting.
My goodness. The assessment is we won. We're happy about that. You never take it for granted. We did a lot of great things. We did a lot of good things. We just had too many things that weren't good, and we need to fix some of those. How's that?
Wonderful. Wonderful. It just felt like a situation that you guys just could not shake Tennessee State. Felt like a couple times there's, it's 4, it's 7. Hey, get it back to 9. And you think they're going to go away. And then you look back up and it's a 1-possession game with a minute to go. How do you think your guys just look, you won. That's the most important part. Yeah. Get those live bullets, I guess, of close and tight situations. How do you guys handle it late?
Yeah, you're right, though. But we just never really got in a rhythm that could put them away. We played really solid early in the game, first 10 minutes, built a lead. But then we had some just really miserably bad live turnovers that led to easy baskets. Tennessee State is they've got great talent and shot makers offensively. And so once we gave them some easy baskets, then all of a sudden they make some tough shots. And then from that time on, it was just a game, so I'm glad we did. I'm glad we won. I feel like, we're not going to go 4 from 20 from 3 very often. I don't think we're going to have, excuse me, that number of turnovers very often. I hope not anyway. So to not have a great offensive night and to still find a way to win was good.
Jeff,
and I say we didn't have a great offensive night, but we still scored 87. I think we were 25 for 37 from 2. So still did plenty well.
Coach, I'm the reporter that typically covers Valpo, and so I have to ask you, is it tempting to just call a play for Tyler to get a 3 on every possession? Because I remember against Valpo, I think he had 45 threes in that game or something like that. Like if the offense is is it just tempting? Is that a coach hack to say, Tyler, just go pop one up for us here?
Well, he can heat up quickly, that's for sure. But we have to be selective. When we need one, that's probably where we're going to go. And he has a knack for making big shots and just, kind of taking the monkey off our back. But he's a weapon that we are glad to have. He just, he's got a lot of gravity on offense. Guys, the defense always knows where he is. He pulls guys with him. So, yeah, it's nice to have. He hasn't played particularly well in our first 2 games, but I'm not worried about it long term. He hadn't played well, and I think he's still maybe 8 for 17 from 3 in the 2 games or something like that.
Yeah, just awful. I think there was a point late in the first half where you had 9 guys in the scoring column, and Tyler Lemblade was not one of them. Is it just important early in the year, even for your guys to be able to look around and go, "Hey, we're ahead. We're playing okay," but the guy that everybody thinks is got to be the guy for us, he's not doing anything in terms of scoring, and we're still okay right now.
Yeah, it's nice to have that. It's not really by design.
Sure.
And honestly, we've never been a team that that just goes to their best player time after time after time. We're not an isolation team. We don't run a lot of sets. So our best players just have to come by offense naturally, and just by being out there. We'll call some things for them, but we're very, very different than a lot of teams in that regard. So having some balance is great. Sam Orm's been our best player. easily all preseason long, and he didn't have a particularly good night tonight either. But he'll be an all-conference player. I'm confident of that, and those two guys need to carry us on the offensive end.
Orem, Drew Sharnowski, Brigham Rogers, 43 points, 19 rebounds between the three of them. I think you'll take that on most nights. Sharnowski, I saw it live and in living color last year in Murray, Kentucky, where he just torched the Racers. And I'm like, this dude is a budding star, 17-7 tonight. How would you assess his performance? And is he okay after that awful fall he took there?
Yeah, he's okay. Yeah, that was pretty scary. But, Drew is just a highlight reel every time he goes out there. He plays with great energy. The crowd loves him. He's always going to do things that are made to impress. And I like the fact that those three guys had such big numbers. Nobody's ever accused Belmont of being a big physical, inside oriented, team that lives and dies in the paint. But, I look at Rogers and Sharnowski combined. They never played together tonight. So they played 34 minutes at the 5 spot, something like that. And I think they had 27 and 12 combined with maybe 8 or 10 free throws. So good night from our post players.
87-79 Belmont over Tennessee State. Coach Casey Alexander, we've bothered you long enough on a Saturday night. Thank you very much for the time, and best of luck. We'll talk soon.
Appreciate you guys. See you soon.
All right, guys. Thank you. There is Coach Alexander. Let's get Coach Alexander out of there. There we go. Let's get Coach. There he goes. Now we get him out of there. Too many buttons to push here late at night. We think of them as guards, Paul. That was nice, though, that you didn't bring it up because, yes, Tyler Lemblade hit 47 threes last year, but I believe Valpo won in the game.
No, well, the game at their place, he was on fire. But, yes, the game at Valpo,
it all worked out.
Valpo scored. Valpo scored triple digits. So that honestly, that game, beating Belmont in that game, and this is the respect for Belmont, is I think the Valpo players, when they beat Belmont last year, kind of looked at each other and said, we can do this. Like, we just beat one of the best teams in the league. And they took that and then a kind of a difficult loss at UIC, which played into them getting revenge in the conference tournament, and then them playing Northern Iowa. Like, Northern Iowa was a really tough team, but so was Belmont, and they just dropped 100 and some on them. It's interesting too. I obviously, if we had gone longer, I might have pressed them on this. They've got a freshman named Jack Smiley. He played 3 minutes tonight. He played 7 in the first game, knocked down a 3. He's from Valpo. Like, he's a local kid. I've known Jack since he was in middle school, and I'd be curious to see, just obviously in the day and age, Jeff, of like, you bring in freshmen, they're supposed to sit at the beginning. At Valpo, what they're doing now is bringing these freshmen, they're relying on them because of the way that it's working. You really don't want to do that, and I bet Jack Smiley, if you put Jack Smiley on a lot of teams in the Valley, Jack Smiley's playing a bunch. Jack Smiley is going to be a key contributor for Belmont in his career down the line, but this is the world that we used to live in. And kudos to Coach Alexander for kind of developing these guys a little bit. And so, trust me, when we're doing Morning in the Valley in 2028, we're going to be talking about Jack Smiley, and that kid is he's something else.
He's Paul Oren. He is everything Valparaiso at thevictorybell.com and has a jacket that I can only invite you to go to a local establishment tonight and just say hello.
I bought this at Macy's, and when I bought it, the clerk, she goes, "Where are you going to wear that?" And I said, "Work." And she goes, "You have a job where you can wear that kind of jacket?" And I said, "Absolutely."
Oh, yes.
Absolutely. It's called Sitting on Press Row on national television.
There you go.
Or ESPN Plus, not available on YouTube TV. Wherever. So
wherever you may be. Busy Sunday tomorrow outside of your NFL fun. Northern Iowa hosting South Dakota State, Cornell at Illinois State on the men's side. So big games on the women's side. Illinois State goes to Illinois. Evansville's at number 21. Iowa, Creighton is at Drake. And UNI heading to St. Louis, Missouri to take on the Billikens. Programming note, no Morning in the Valley Monday, no Morning in the Valley Wednesday. I will be in transit from West Kentucky to and from Dallas. We will catch up with you on Thursday for the four of you that care. We will be back to catch up on the week that was, and hopefully Racers getting a win in Dallas. Hopefully, I mean, we are at the time of the year. We need everybody to win. We're rooting for all 11, and let's get the Valley back to a two-bid league sooner than later. Paul Oren, happy Saturday night. Thanks for the time. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks to all of you for watching Morning in the Valley Overtime, and we will talk to you all soon.